These are the Spectacles by Snap. They are a really exciting look into the future of augmented reality and personal computing, but they aren't without their caveats, the biggest one being you simply can't buy them right now. However, I managed to get my hands on a pair, so I'm going to talk to you about what I love about them, what I hate about them, and why I don't think these are quite ready for prime time just yet. So yeah, these are Spectacles, and you can't buy them right now. They're really only for developers because they're a developer kit. There are two main ways that you can get them. You can sign up for the Spectacles program in the US. It's going to cost you $100 a month for a minimum of 12 months, and you have to be accepted into the program. Or if you're like me and lucky enough to be invited to one of the many Snap HQs around the world, then you might be able to pick up a pair from there. That's what happened with me when I went to the AR Dev Days event. In the box, you get everything you need to get started with Spectacles. The glasses themselves, a blinder to ensure that when you're charging them you aren't going to scratch up the screens, a nice little carry bag, and a USB-C cable. That's really all you need to get started. Putting them on, they are pretty bulky and quite honestly a very bold design. Unlike something like the Meta Ray-Bans, these don't blend in. People know that you're using something pretty high tech, and I kind of like it but also think they look pretty stupid. So what makes these guys different to something like the Meta Ray-Bans? Well, these are full augmented reality. They actually have screens in each eye, which allow you to augment content onto the real world. Think similar to the HoloLens and Magic Leap. We'll talk a little bit more about their similarities later though. The design is pretty bulky, but there's a good reason for that. On each of the arms, you've actually got a CPU, a cooling chamber, and a battery. So that's 2 CPUs, 2 cooling chambers, and 2 batteries. On the front, you've obviously got the 2 displays. These are waveguide style displays, and you also have a camera each side and a little sensor that can help you with hand tracking. Putting the device on for the first time, I noticed just why these things aren't quite mainstream yet. And that's because of their field of view. It's always been an issue with augmented reality glasses like these ones and the HoloLens that the field of view is just so small. You have a very small window where content can be displayed in augmented reality. You can pretty much see all of your peripheral vision through the lenses, but you're only going to be seeing the augmented content in a very small part of that. Honestly, that field of view is an almost deal breaker for me. I struggle to see these ever going mainstream until we can get an almost full field of view. That's where something like the Meta Quest 3 and 3S and its mixed reality mode comes in handy. Because you're viewing through a camera's lens, you can actually have a much wider field of view and it's much more immersive. These guys don't have the ability to do that. They just augment over the waveguides of the screen. Right now, the displays allow for a 46-degree field of view. This is higher than most of the augmented reality headsets on the market right now, particularly even the Meta Orion glasses. They're suitably high resolution too, with 37 pixels per degree. This is actually incredibly high resolution, and you can tell. Colours are also super bright and really vivid on this headset. I've never quite experienced colours like it from an augmented reality device, especially with the waveguide style projectors. Speaking of the lenses, one thing that really took me by surprise was its ability to change to a sunglass or a slightly more transparent view on the fly. It can do this based upon light sensors, or you can change it within the mobile app. And it allows you to use these both indoors and outdoors. That's a big thing that Snap is pushing here, being able to use these outside in the real world and, well, I was going to say not look silly, but looking at these guys, I'm not so sure about that one. No matter where you are, these screens are going to look great. But what exactly can you do with these screens? Well, that's where the OS comes in. Snap have completely created their own OS. They run small applications called lenses. These are created in Lens Studio and very similar to the lenses that you find on Snapchat, the ones that make you look like a dog or a pretty princess. However, these lenses are much more sophisticated. There are a few different ways that you can control the content, the main one being hand tracking. The hand tracking is impeccable here. I've actually never quite seen anything like it. Even coming from the Quest 3S, where the hand tracking was very good, it feels even better here. You can simply pinch or push any of the icons on screen to start the lenses and interact with the world. Alternatively, if you need a little bit more control, you can use the Spectacles mobile app, which allows you to use your phone as a laser pointer, and even have custom controls on the screen for certain games. Like this one, where I was playing with a helicopter and flying it around my space. I could see the controls on my phone screen, and of course because they're see-through, it was really easy for me to just look down and be able to see the world around me and still see that augmented content. Right now, with these guys being a dev kit, there's not a ton of content out there, unfortunately. There's a few fun demos and applications, for example, the web browser, and even a calculator that can sit in your space, but it still feels very limited in terms of the applications that are there. Even a really interesting piano one, which uses machine learning to understand the piano in front of you and basically has the notes moving towards you, teaching you to play piano. It's really clever stuff, and I was really surprised at how well the machine learning side of things worked there. So earlier on I spoke about these having 2 CPUs. Why is that? What's the advantage to having 2 CPUs on a pair of glasses like this? Well, it means that you don't have to have a separate puck. Almost all of the other augmented reality glasses that we've used have a separate puck, so you've got a wire coming out the back to somewhere else. That's not the case here. One of these CPUs is simply just for tracking, so that it can do 6 degrees of freedom tracking. You can completely walk around your space and have things anchored in your space. It also handles things like the hand tracking. The other CPU is there just for rendering and for running those little lenses. With the 2 batteries as well, you're going to get around 45 minutes of battery life. That's not great, and I think is one of the major contributors as to why these are just never really going to take off, at least not in their current form. Given 5 or 10 years, I genuinely think something like this isn't going to be far off from what we're going to be using instead of our phones. And I think Snap have absolutely knocked it out the park with this one. Sure, Meta Orion has a few more hidden tricks up its sleeve, but you can actually get a pair of these if you're a developer, and they actually exist. Getting them into developers' hands now means that we can build this ecosystem of applications and experiences, so when eventually we do see these guys actually taking off into the normal market, there's going to be a ton of applications and use cases for them. The mobile app also has a ton of really interesting features that make it actually a really social experience. One of them allows you to have a virtual camera in the augmented reality space. You simply hold up your phone and sync it up with the spectacles, and then someone can walk around with your phone in the space and see exactly what you're seeing. It's really, really clever and was a lot of fun when I was showing this off to friends and family, particularly with the painting app, which allows you to paint in space. Developing lenses for this thing is also super simple. If you're interested in a few tutorials and demos of how you can set up experiences for the spectacles, how you can test them both on the spectacles and in Lens Studio right now, then let me know in the comments section down below. And of course, while you're down there, get subscribed as well, because it genuinely does mean the world to me and it allows me to continue creating really cool augmented reality, virtual reality and tech content for you guys. That being said though, I really do love these things, and I genuinely do think that in a few years' time they're going to be the future of augmented reality. A lot of the ideas that Snap have built into these guys will be carried forwards, and in a few years we'll have probably some retail versions of these that will be so much better, and we'll have a load of applications that you can actually use. It's a very social experience too. If your friends are somehow developers and also somehow manage to have a pair of these, you can create some really fun multi-user experiences where everything is anchored to one spot. For example, you can paint with a friend, or you can play a game of chess, virtually of course. So there we have it guys. Those are the Snapchat Spectacles. A really exciting and interesting look into the future of augmented reality. I just think it's going to be a few years before we start seeing these fully mainstream. Why don't you let me know what you think of the spectacles in the comments section down below. And of course, while you're down there as well, get subscribed, hit that like button, do all of that good stuff, because it genuinely does mean the world to me. Anyway guys, my name's been Robert, this has been a bite-sized clue, and I will catch you in the next one. Adios.